Good morning, all of you. Here comes our new chapter, new interesting topic to discuss today. Are you all excited? Today we are going to discuss about deficit spending and public debt. Welcome to the lecture. In this chapter, we have 4 learning objectives. First, to explain how the federal government budget deficit occurs and define the public debt. The second objective is to evaluate the circumstances under which the public debt could be a burden to future generations. The third objective is to analyze the macroeconomic effects of government budget deficits. The fourth objective is to describe the possible ways to reduce the government budget deficit. We'll discuss each objective one by one. And if you have any questions, any of your ideas, any of your thoughts, you can share that on this topic in different sections like the Google Doc that I have shared with you. You can ask question over there. You can also post your views on the discussion board, and if you want, you can also post any new articles on this topic at tweet section. Feel free to contact me for any questions or any clarifications you need on this chapter. Our third learning objective is to analyze the macroeconomic effects of government budget deficits. Think of this question. Is there any relationship between the US trade deficit and the federal government budget deficit? Well, the answer to this is yes. There is a statistical correlation between the two. And there is a reason why we would expect the federal budget deficit to be associated with trade deficits. Suppose that initially the government budget is balanced. Okay, government expenditure are matching with an equal amount of tax collections and other government revenues. Now assume the federal government begins to operate with a budget deficit. It increases its spending, they collect fewer taxes, or both. Assume further that the domestic consumption and the domestic investment do not increase relative to GDP. Where then do the funds come from to finance the government budget deficit? A portion of it will come from abroad. That is to say, the dollar holder abroad ultimately will purchase the newly created government bonds. And this is the first link in the relationship between the government budget deficits and the trade deficits. So, suppose the value of the imports are greater than the value of exports. There is a trade deficit. Now, there will be increase in the imports. The foreigners will now accumulate the dollars. The foreigners will spend on the US government securities and bond based on the accumulated dollars. Then the foreigner will spend less on US produced good because they have fewer dollars after spending on the bonds. What will happen? Exports will decrease further. It will increase the trade deficit further. And to get funds, the federal government have to borrow money by selling the bonds but at a higher interest rate to attract the foreigners. Ultimately, it will increase the federal government deficit. Thank you very much. If you have any questions relating to this chapter, feel free to write your question on the Google Doc that I have shared with you, as well as you can share your ideas and thoughts on the discussion board. Thank you.